Good morning, students. Welcome to the second video lecture on honeybee pest and diseases. So in the previous lecture, we have seen the different pests of honeybees. We have discussed about the varroa mite, that is a tracheal mite, the wax moth, about the hive beetle. We have discussed about the hive beetle. And the most important one, it is a varroa mite. And apart from these, all the mites, and apart from this pest, there are the other pests are also there. For example, the ant. All type of ants are predators of honeybee in the tropical and the subtropical areas, and they will attack and take away the honey, the brood pollen, dead and alive adult bees. Alive or the dead debris also will be taken by these ants, and the bee colonies may sometimes abscond through the strong colonies. Usually succeed. The strong colonies may succeed by this attack of these ants. Many ant genera and the species are reported to cause problems to the traditional beekeeping, and the bee colonies can be kept away from this by placing the hive on the stands with their legs on the earthen pot filled with water, and they can also be coated with the stand can also be coated with oil or the tar in order to avoid this ants. Then apart from this ant, there are the birds such as the king crows visit the apiaries occasionally on the cloudy days, and they just feed on this bees. The bee eaters, they love bee eating, and these crows sit on the branches, and they will just pick and feed on the bees by its wings. Then there are the other enemies. Occasionally the cockroaches comes to the hive, and they just grabs the honey. The dragonflies also catches when the queen and the drone are just on the nuptial flight. The lizards, frogs, toads, etc. can attack the hive and can feed on the bees. Those are on the entrances. The bears break the open hives and they eat the bees and also the brood and honey and the pollen. At least in the cartoons you have seen these bears attacking the hive. Then there are the rat and the mice are the enemies of this comb. White ants, a termite. There is a termite that often seen the damage to the wooden components of the hive, and for all these we can just avoid the attack of these insects with various means, but still care has to be taken. Proper caring of the apiary has to be done in order to avoid the attack of these enemies. And now we'll just pass on to the different diseases that is affecting the honeybees. The first important, it is a nausemia. There are the two type of diseases, that is a Nausemia apis and Nausemia cerania. These are the two spread by the spores, and which can live about between 22 to 50 days outside the colony. They are seen in the low temperature and not in the warm temperature kill the Nausemia, and the spores enter through the trophallaxis, and even it reaches the esophagus and up to the honey stomach. It can reach up to the honey stomach. And this Nausemia disease are caused by the spore forming protozoan parasite Nausemia apis and cerania. These are the two different species of protozoan parasite. It affects adult bees during the cold and the rainy weather. It is regarded as one of the most destructive disease of adult bees. It will deplete the honeybee population very quickly, and it is transmitted by the food or the water, and the stomach and the small intestine of the bee will become dull grayish white in color. will become the dull grayish white in color, and it can be the best controlled by keeping the colonies as strong as possible. The colonies and the apiaries should receive adequate ventilation and protection from the cold and humidity. And this Nosemia cercara is a silent killer. You can't see any spotting on that, but in this Nosemia apis you can find the certain noticeable spotting in front of the hive, and then in the top of this frame you can just find certain spottings, and which denotes that the comb is affected by this, or the colony is affected by this Nosemia apis. So that's all about the Nosemia disease. The next is about the brood diseases, collectively brood diseases, collectively called as a brood diseases. The brood cells are often attacked by the various bacteria, viruses, and the fungi. The symptom of a brood disease are the decolored larva, dark capping, as you can see here, the dark colored capping you can see here. Then irregular brood and the punctured capping. Irregular brood and the punctured capping you can see. And irregular capping, this capping are irregular, and the punctured brood can be the same. And more detail about the African Fallbrook disease, you can just identify this disease by the presence of the sunken and the perforated cell caps, the dirty stalks, and the foul smell. A sulfur foul smell arises from this brood. The irregular pattern of the brood, the fecal matter will be the present more in the this brood. And if you place a toothpick into the brood, it will just pull. If you just place a toothpick like this, the whole contents will be screwed off like a gum-like substances. So it's also an indication, and if all the contents is coming out like this, then we can just confirm that it is an American fall disease. And for the treatment, you can just use the Tylosin in a permissible measure, or it is an oxytetracycline that can be used in the permissible amount. And this disease is highly contagious and can be contained. You have to be very careful by using these equipments. Once if you notice that the hive is affected by this American foul brood disease, then all the equipment that is used to handle the hive has to be decontaminated, or has to be just burned it off, or you can just contact with the expert opinion. Next is about the European fall brood, which is another type of the brood disease, and this disease is caused by the Melissococcus and is a particular to the certain species of bees, and this affect the larvae and all caste. You can see here the same symptoms, irregular capping, you can see the open chambers, you can see the larva inside without a cap. Okay, and it can be treated when there is no nectar flow is occurring and the full existing the honey off of the colony. The musty and the fishy smell similar to that of the American foul brood. The foul name itself is because of this foul smell that arises after the infection of this brood disease. And this also can be treated by Tylosin. It's a chemical that can be used for the treatment of this foul disease. Okay, that's all about this fall disease, and the maintenance of the colonies is very essential. In this regard, proper caring has to be given. The next step, it is about the chalk brood or the sac brood. This chalk brood it's another type of the brood disease. In this, and hope you all know the word is brood. That is, the younger ones are collectively called as a brood. That is, from the egg stage to the pupal stage, the honey bees are called as a brood. Okay, these three stages, the egg, larva, and the pupal stage, collectively called as a brood. And if the colony is infected by this chalk brood disease, then you can see a chalk-like appearance. You can see here, you can see as if we have just inserted the chalk inside this chamber, inside this cell. And the sac brood is somewhat sag-like. The contents as such will be like this without any proper capping and all. Then the chalk brood treatment for this appears, both the disease appears at the time of the summer, and the requeening help. Requeening, we have to just replace a queen with the new queen that can control this type of disease to some extent. In the sac brood disease, the larvae appears to be encased in a sag. And in the chalk brood, the larva appears to be as if we had just placed a chalk inside the cell. So these are the diseases and important diseases that is seen in the apiary. So in short, there are the bee disease are caused by the viruses, bacteria, fungi, various bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and the mites. And this there is a parasitic mite called as a Acarapsis woodi that is also causes a disease called as a acarine disease. And usually they are the tracheal mites. They are also called as the tracheal mites. So the disease caused by the tracheal mites is the acarine disease. Okay, so collectively there are the brood diseases that we have seen recently. Then there are the bacteria called as a Bacillus episepticus, which causes a septicemia in the blood of the bees and the spread through the contaminated water, the getting into the breathing organs. Then there are the fungal disease caused by the aspergillus and the mycoderma, in that the loss from these are the very minor in nature, and the proper ventilation in the hive can check these diseases up to some extent. There is a aspergillus flavus and the other related species may cause the mycosis, as is a fungal disease. Then there is Pericystis apis causes a chalk brood, in which the larva becomes a dull white and hardens within a few months of it, and it will die off. And within the few hours, this larva get died off. So there are the fungal disease caused by the aspergillus, bacterial disease caused by bacillus, protozoan disease which is causing the Yersinia disease. Okay, so these are the diseases that and the pests that is discussed. And in the coming video lecture, we will be discussing about the applications of apiculture. Thank you.